Hey, good morning and welcome to Upton Baptist Church. It's great to have you with us this morning. If you're watching at 10:15 on the YouTube premiere, then do remember the chat function if you're able. Say hello, interact with each other. In these strange times, it's good to know who's there and that we are still coming together as God's family to worship Him. And that's what we're going to do this morning. We're going to open the Bible. Rachel's going to read some of John to us, the book of John in the New Testament, and I'm going to have a little think about Mary Magdalene and her reaction when she visited the tomb after Jesus' death and burial. But first, let's sing together.
Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul. I worship Your holy name. The sun comes up, it's a new day dawning. It's time to sing Your song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me, let me be singing when the evening dawns. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul. I'll worship Your holy name. You're rich in love and You're slow to anger. Your name is great and Your heart is kind. For all Your goodness I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul. I'll worship Your holy name. And on that day when my strength is failing, the end draws near and my time has come, still my soul will sing Your praise unending. 10,000 years and then forevermore. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul. I'll worship Your holy name. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never
At the place where Jesus was crucified, there was a garden, and in the garden a new tomb, in which no one had ever been laid. Because it was the Jewish day of preparation, and since the tomb was nearby, they laid Jesus there. Early on the first day of the week, whilst it was still dark, Mary Magdalene went to the tomb and saw that the stone had been removed from the entrance. So she came running to Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one Jesus loved, and said, "They have taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we don't know where they have put him."
Thanks, Rachel. We're going to continue listening to Rachel reading from John to us in a short while, but I wanted to just pause there and take a little moment to think about Mary Magdalene's reaction when she came to the tomb and she discovered that the body of Jesus was missing. Just a few days before, Jesus had died on a cross. When we consider the way that Jesus died, we realise that actually thousands of Jewish young men died by crucifixion under the Roman authorities in the first century. Which makes us wonder, well, what was it that was different about this death? What was it about Jesus' death that stands through the ages as a symbol of God's extravagant love for his people? Well, what made it different is what happened next. And that is, yes, Jesus died, and yes, he was buried, but Jesus rose again. He is alive. These words began to be reported around Jerusalem at the time by people who were confused and scared and excited. They were saying, he is alive. We can't compare this to anything that we know because nothing like it had happened before. It was a new beginning. It was a new day. Something incredibly new had burst into human existence. A new day, a new world. When Jesus died on the cross, his body was taken down and it was given over to Joseph of Arimathea and to Nicodemus. And they took it upon themselves to lovingly prepare the body of Jesus ready for burial. And so they prepared Jesus' body and then they placed his body in a tomb that was owned by Joseph of Arimathea in a tomb near Golgotha. And there they left the body. They rolled the stone over to keep the body safe. And there Jesus' body laid. And so on this Sunday morning, Mary Magdalene, friend and follower of Jesus, came to the tomb full of grief. And she finds the stone has been rolled away. And when she looks inside, she discovers the body of Jesus has gone. She would have spent time with Jesus. She'd have listened to his teaching. She'd have heard him talk about the death and the resurrection of the Son of Man, of what was to come. And yet when she looked in, she realized the body has gone and she presumed that it had been stolen. In fact, this is what she goes on to report, that somebody has taken Jesus's body. She gets it wrong. She comes to the wrong conclusion. And just like Mary Magdalene, so many people have assumed the wrong thing when they look at the empty tomb. You see, Mary thought the body had been stolen. Religious leaders fabricated that very story and they blame the disciples for stealing the body. Others have suggested that Jesus didn't really die at all on the cross and that he was simply revived in a cold tomb. However, countless people have studied the evidence, the actual evidence from the empty tomb, and they have concluded, just like the four Gospels, just like myself, that Jesus rose from the dead on the third day. And because Jesus rose from the dead, we have a new day, a new life, a new way of living. So when you look in the empty tomb, I wonder what conclusion you come to. Because if you, like me, believe that Jesus is alive, that he rose from the dead, then that changes everything.
Mary stood outside the tomb crying. As she wept, she bent over to look into the tomb and saw 2 angels in white, seated where Jesus' body had been, one at the head and the other at the foot. They asked her, "Woman, why are you crying?" "They have taken my Lord away," she said, "and I don't know where they have put him." At this, she turned round and saw Jesus standing there, but she did not realize that it was Jesus. He asked her, "Woman, why are you crying? Who is it that you're looking for?" Thinking he was the gardener, she said, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have put him, and I will get him." Jesus said to her, "Mary." And Mary went to the disciples with the news, "I have seen the Lord." And she told them that he had said these things to her.
So Mary Magdalene is lingering in grief at Jesus' empty tomb. What do we know about Mary? Well, if we look in the book of Luke, we see that Mary was delivered from 7 demons. She'd come from a really, really dark place. So her life had been full of struggles and she had found herself in deep valleys. And she was also a devout follower of Jesus. She was devoted to him and like the disciples, she followed him around, listening to him and learning from him. And the grief that she expresses at the tomb is an expression of her love for Jesus. She had this amazing encounter with these 2 angels. But even that encounter, it doesn't deter her, it doesn't stop her from trying to find Jesus' body. So overwhelmed is she by grief and loss that she is determined to find the body, and she's not distracted by these 2 angels. And then in the confusion of all of this grief, she unknowingly talks to the risen Saviour, to Jesus. She thinks that he is the gardener, and she asks him if he has taken Jesus' body. She asks him a why question and a who question, and she still doesn't recognize Jesus. And then Jesus simply speaks her name, Mary, and she cries in joy. That haze of confusion through grief that she finds herself in is broken when Jesus calls her name. Mary goes on to be one of the first evangelists, the first spreader of the good news about Jesus in history. She's the one who tells others of the good news. He is alive. He has risen. Jesus once said, "The one who is forgiven much loves much." And this is really true of Mary Magdalene. As I say, not only had she been forgiven much, but she had been delivered from a place of utter darkness and oppression. So she loved much. In her grief, what Mary needed most was reassurance and hope. She was obsessed with finding the body of Jesus. But what she found instead was a gateway to a completely new world, the world of resurrection life. Jesus meets every single one of us in our confusion. He will meet you in your grief, and he wants to introduce us to the gate that is this new day, this new way of life, this new world. Can you imagine yourself just like Mary was that morning? Imagine yourself stood there with Jesus speaking to you, calling you out by name. Mary, well, she responded in love. She responded with joy. How do you respond when Jesus calls your name? Will you believe that the Son of God, who came to give life, life in its fullness, is calling your name? Because Jesus said, I know my sheep by name. He knows each one of us by name. And each one of us is of great value to God.
I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my tomb till I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness to your glorious day. Now your mercy has saved my soul. Now your freedom is all that I know. The old made new, Jesus, when I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness to your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness to your glorious day. I needed rescue, my sin was heavy, the chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan, now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken,